If you could save money by assembling your own tractor backhoe out of a crate like this, would you do it? Now what we just did rendered this tractor's hydraulic system completely useless. Hey, this is Jake with the Tractor Yard, and today we're going to show you how to install a tractor backhoe out of a crate. The reason I'm making this video is because we have a very rare case where a customer bought so much equipment from us that we can't fit it all on our trailer assembled. So we gave him the option of taking a discount and installing and assembling the backhoe himself. There are written assembly instructions from the manufacturer for these backhoes, but we kind of found our own process that we think is a lot simpler, and you can do it with only your tractor and some basic hand tools. So I'm curious, if you had the option to save some money by assembling your own backhoe out of one of these crates, would you do it? How much money would you expect off in order to do that? We almost never run into this scenario, but I'm genuinely curious. So after watching the assembly process, let me know down in the comments what you think about this, and let's jump into it. Now, generally when you buy a backhoe from one of the major brands, it's going to be a subframe attached backhoe. Now there's two different main types of subframe backhoes. So you've got these smaller subframe backhoes that have these plate systems that attach to the back of your tractor. And then you have your larger backhoes like these. So a BY75, that's gonna go on like a 474. And these come with subframes like this that run the length of your tractor. The type of backhoe we're gonna be assembling today is actually a BH200 going on a TYM 20 series tractor, and it is a full subframe style backhoe. Now there are several different model of subframe backhoes from TYM, but they're all pretty similar in design, and the process of assembly is going to be generally the same, save a few hardware differences. So as far as what comes in the crate, your backhoe will be assembled to this point, more than likely. You're going to have your outrigger feet. Your outriggers are going to be loose and pinned on the outside. You'll have your seat mount that's loose and just tied together. You'll have your seat that's going to be loose. And then you've got a box of hardware that comes with some hoses, your rocks to keep your outrigger standing up, fittings, pins, and just bolts, nuts, and washers. But in general, you're gonna have a crate full of everything I just listed, and then your subframe will be separate. So once it's all laid out, the very first thing we've got to do, since this is a 20 series, some of these models you don't have to remove these 3-point arms, but these older Branson models you do to install a backhoe. So we're going to take these 3-point arms off, and then we're going to take this bolt out in order to do that. And then we're going to replace it, and that's going to be a mounting pin for the subframe. So all we've done is take these 3-point arms off. We replace these bolts that act like a mounting pin on either side. And then he just slid this subframe under by hand, lifted it up, and hung it right there on those rear pins. With it slid under here towards the front, this slot right here needs to lift up and pin to this front bar. But right now, when you lift this up, it's hitting that bar right there. So we're gonna have to scoot this bar back one hole in order for this to line up just right. In some cases, this bar won't be installed on there at all, and it may come in the backhoe crate, so you may have to install that bar yourself. Now that that bar is in the right spot, I've got these 2 retaining pins, and Dylan's at the back, and he's gonna pivot this frame up for me. And then you can see here on both sides, you can flip these retaining bars up, slide your pins in. And you can drop these little clips. And now your backhoe subframe is installed. So next thing we're gonna do is take these outriggers off of their shipping location there, and we're gonna install them onto that subframe. And the reason that we're putting these outriggers on first is because how we're gonna do this now is basically drive the tractor back towards the backhoe, hook up the hydraulics, and use the outriggers and the boom itself to align the backhoe with the subframe and bolt everything together. So we're gonna go ahead and install some of the accoutrements or the accessories kind of that go on this thing. So like the rocks that hold up the outriggers for transport, and then the foot pegs, we're gonna go ahead and put those on, the joysticks. And then once we have those few things on, we'll go ahead and push this thing together. On these, you don't want to suck those all the way tight because you want it to be able to pivot like this. And it's got a nylock nut on there to keep it from falling off, but you just want to make sure not to over tighten those. So when these outriggers are lifted up, this pin here is what that rock will hang on to. And these are just for transport. Make sure before you use this backhoe, you take these rocks off. We have so many people that don't think about that, and they will rip these rocks off. And they're not really essential, but it's something that if you're not paying attention, you can definitely do. So if your tractor has a rear remote set with a detent position so you can feed a constant loop of hydraulic flow to your backhoe, you can take the hydraulic lines from the backhoe and hook right into those and use your detent to run your backhoe. Now, if you don't have a remote set, you can still hook your backhoe up to the existing hydraulic plumbing. And the way we're gonna do that on this 20 series TYM is we're gonna take this line that's running to the top of this 3-point control, and this is a feed line, actually a Power Beyond feed line that's dumping right back into the hydraulic sump. Essentially, all we're gonna do is take this and make a constant flow loop that will either run through the backhoe and back into the tractor, or if the backhoe's off, we're gonna have 2 quick connects right here that we can hook together so that that loop does exactly what it does from the factory here. Now, there is a right way and a wrong way to do this. So if you do this the right way, you're gonna hook everything up to the backhoe quick connects, and your backhoe will function like normal. If you do it the wrong way, nothing will work at all. Now the good news is, the wrong way just means that you've flipped your hydraulic quick connects to the wrong side. So just take and swap over your quick connects and run the loop essentially the other direction, and you should be fine. So depending on which model you have, which backhoe model you have, your hose kit may look a little bit different. And this is where the backhoe installation manual will come in handy if you don't have a BH200 and a 20 series TYM tractor, but the process is similar. So these 2 hoses came with the kit, and these 2 quick connects. So we've got a male and a female, and all Dylan's gonna do is take and thread tape this pipe threaded end on both hoses and install his quick connects, and then we'll install those hoses onto the tractor. So Dylan's put probably a couple hundred backhoes together since he's been here, and a little trick that he's come up with that works pretty much every time is he takes these hoses as they come off of the backhoe, and he crosses them over like this. So in this case, that puts his male fitting on, if I'm sitting on the tractor, the left-hand side, and his female fitting on the right-hand side. So then to come up and make his loop, he's matching that up. So he's taking his female fitting hose that he just built to match up with this male, and it's gonna go on this existing Power Beyond line. And his male fitting will match up with the female to the backhoe, and it's going to attach here to this return fitting. And he said if you do it that way, most of the time, you're going to get that loop running in the correct direction. Again, if you hook it up and the backhoe's not running like you would expect, just swap these hoses and you should have the correct flow direction. What we just did rendered this tractor's hydraulic system completely useless. So this is a frequently asked question we get all the time. Someone takes their backhoe off and then their tractor's hydraulic system will not function. They call us, they're upset, and they're confused. So why is it not working? Well, because they just broke their main feed line to their 3-point system. So when you take your tractor backhoe off, you need to reconnect these lines together. Without hooking those lines together, this feed line runs into a dead end. So you'll be deadheading your hydraulic pump in this configuration. So make sure that when you take that backhoe off, you hook these lines together. Similarly, when your backhoe is on, these either need to be hooked together, isolating the backhoe, or these need to be hooked up to the backhoe, because if this loop isn't made, your tractor will not function properly. So Dylan's just got this tractor in neutral and he's rolling it back towards this subframe. And here he's hooking his hydraulic lines up so we can maneuver this backhoe and bolt it up subframe to subframe. Now it's going to be hard to get both sides lined up at the same time, so start one side, leave it loose, and then you can maneuver the other side. So he just installed this stabilizer bar that helps tie the top of this subframe to the subframe that goes onto the tractor. And there's one on each side on this model. So at this point, the main structure of the backhoe is completely done. Everything's tightened up. Next thing we're gonna do is install this seat bracket and the seat. So that's going to wrap it up for the backhoe assembly and install. So the main difference between the way we do this process and the way the manual would have you do this process is instead of assembling this frame to this frame on the tractor itself, the manual would have you assemble those two frames together on the ground. But in order to do that, it usually takes 2 machines and 2 people, and it's actually pretty dangerous. So we've kind of come up with this process. Hopefully it helps somebody out there. Appreciate you watching, and see you next time.
Maybe you've got lawns to mow, maybe you've got fields to grow. I'll tell you right now where you need to go. Get out in the yard, the tractor yard. They've got what you got in mind, and they're not gonna waste your time. A family company, a new generation. Honesty is their reputation, so accept no imitation. Get out in the yard, the tractor yard.